Another story from the United States, and it's the latest federal spat with Harvard University. The Department of Homeland Security is threatening Harvard might not be able to host any international students if the Ivy League school doesn't provide information on illegal or violent activities of its foreign students. It comes as the DHS canceled $2.7 million in grants in addition to the Joint Task Force to Combat Anti-Semitism's $2.2 billion freeze in grants. Quite a lot happening in this continued feud, it seems, between the Federal State Department and Harvard University. To unpack it more, we're joined now by Michael Wilds, immigration lawyer and managing partner at Wilds and Weinberg, joining us from New York. Michael, great to have you with us on the rundown again. As far as this latest move that we're seeing now from the Department of Homeland Security, possibly barring international students from Harvard. Let's just begin from a legal perspective. What type of jurisdiction DHS has over a move like this?
So that is Harvard, has partnered with the SEVIS system of ICE that would allow them to bring foreign nationals. They issue a Form I-20. The students then go to an American embassy, get an F-1 visa endorsed into their passport, and that visa then is a recognition that they're going to return to an unrelinquished domicile at the conclusion of their studies, and that they will maintain their status. They will fully continue to study, doing whatever matriculated amount of credits that they are, and they will obey all immigration laws. What's happening here is the federal government is interested in looking at the illegal and violent activities, not speech, but the conduct of certain students, and is asking the school to provide it. The school is refusing to provide it, and the system here is such that the government could pull the carpet from underneath its feet. There are about 27% of the enrollment this year at Harvard is foreign students. Wow. You're talking about literally millions upon millions of dollars.
So Harvard doesn't want to abide by these orders. Harvard University says it doesn't want to surrender its independence or its constitutional rights. But what type of a responsibility does this private institution have to respond to these federal orders then?
Well, this is the balance that needs to be struck between the federal government trying to legitimately protect anti-Semitism being supported by public funds versus the threat of crossing the line where the line of protection becomes blurred. The school is not going to allow the federal government to kind of mandate what kind of systems, academics, and content that's there. And arguably, this is a very important debate that has to be cast properly, reminding ourselves that a lot of the local mayors, I'm a mayor in New Jersey where I live, and governors did not step up to protect Jewish students where anti-Semitism prevailed. Now, where is the line and how far across the line will they go, and whether or not this is a measure of principle is going to be coming out in the ensuing weeks. I lecture as an immigration practitioner to foreign students. I've spoken at Yale, Columbia University, a lot of the creative schools, Parsons, New School, and so forth in the New York area. We're teaching foreign students how to onboard into the workforce. The president has recognized that this is a foolhardy effort for us to not create a path for the talented foreign students to go into our workforce only to compete with them or against them at a later time. So this businessman of a president understands the effect that this may have. He is, in fact, standing up to anti-Semitism. The question is this over the top, or is it necessary to get them to come to the table? Because right now it is not acceptable, again, the conduct that's happening and being deployed throughout our campuses.
Well, Michael, during your lectures and working with some of these students, what is their reaction to some of this? Is any of these foreign students also worried about the implications that it might have on them, or are many of them possibly praising these efforts coming from the Trump administration?
So the foreign students that I meet with are mortified of some of the conduct that has happened on the schools, that Jews would be scared to come out of their classrooms and be intimidated to walk with their kippot or the Magen Davids around their neck, the Star of David's. The truth is that the students understand that it's a fragile kind of status that they have, For those that come from storied parts of the world where there's less of a politic with the United States, they're being cautioned not to travel unless necessary. And others are concerned because they may have participated. The government understands and knows when you come to an airport, there is no expectation of privacy. When you come to a protest, they don't want people to wear masks because they shield themselves and they're emboldened to cross the line from a free speech to a poor conduct kind of experience. And they're asking the schools to make sure that they have systems in place to check anti-Semitism and to make sure that expression of thought never gets to poor conduct. We have the fighting words doctrine, and I spoke of this in one of your last segments, where you're not allowed to scream fire in a movie theater. You don't have this unimpeded freedom to express yourself and intimidate with conduct against others. And that is the line that's being dealt with here. Is the Trump administration being aggressive? Yes. Are they over the top? Not quite. But the question is, what's going to get these schools to act properly and to stop the fueling of anti-Semitism? Sometimes you have to be harsh. If you have a child out of line, they'll never step out of line if they know a parent is taking it seriously.
Certainly seems that is the case. We're seeing harder and harsher action coming from the Trump administration, but maybe that's exactly what it needs to take. Michael Wilds from Wilds and Weinberg joining us from New York. Thank you for your analysis.
Pleasure.